Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to the NFL Hub, where we discuss the past, present, and future of the game of football. In today's episode, we will be covering the top 10 quarterbacks in NFL history. Of course, this list is completely subject to opinion, so comment your list down below in the comment section. We would love to hear from you. Let's start this list off with an honorable mention, a QB so interesting that he deserved a mention, even though his quarterbacking stats didn't quite achieve that on their own. Sammy Baugh. You ever heard of Taysom Hill? Sammy Baugh was Taysom Hill before Taysom Hill. I've researched many NFL top 10 QB lists, and I have yet to see Sammy receive the respect he deserves. Sammy Baugh had interesting stats as a quarterback: a 56.5 completion percentage, 21,886 yards, 187 touchdowns, and 203 interceptions, but that isn't the entire reason he is mentioned for this list. Baugh was a two-time NFL champion, three-time first-team All-Pro, six-time Pro Bowler. Sammy Baugh is the only player in NFL history to throw 4 touchdown passes and pick off 4 passes in the same game. With that, he is tied for the most interceptions, defensive interceptions, in a single game in NFL history with 4. Yeah, he's a quarterback. In 1943, Sammy led the league in punt yards and defensive interceptions. Oh yeah, he also played running back and scored 9 touchdowns. Running back, punter, quarterback, and defensive back are a few of the positions he played in the National Football League. But let's start this list with number 10, Roger Staubach, 1969 to 1979. There is a reason that Roger received the nickname Roger the Dodger. With a style that was seemingly adopted by John Elway after him, Roger was a scrambling machine. Over his fascinating career, Roger made a name with himself, picking up 22,700 passing yards, a 57.0 completion percentage, 7.7 yards per attempt, 153 touchdowns, 109 interceptions, a 3.7 interception percentage, an 83.4 passer rating. He was a 2-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl VI MVP. Oh, yeah. He also picked up 2,264 rushing yards and scored 21 touchdowns on 410 carries. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler. He for sure deserves a spot on this list. The All-American Roger makes it in at number 10. Number 9, we have Otto Graham. Automatic Otto is one of the earliest demonstrations of greatness the sport of American football has ever seen. He finished his short but mighty career with 23,584 yards, a 55.8 completion percentage. He passed for 9 yards per attempt, 174 touchdowns, 135 interceptions, with an outstanding 5.1 interception percentage. He amassed an outstanding 86.6 passer rating as well. He was a 3-time NFL champion, a 3-time NFL MVP, a 5-time Pro Bowler, and achieved many more notable accolades as well. He was part of the 1950s All-Decade team and the NFL 75th Anniversary team. It was also a first-team All-American, just to name a few clubs he got himself into. Oh, and the Cleveland Browns also retired his number 14. Safe to say, he was definitely a big deal. A lot of people don't like the inclusion of players from the pre-Super Bowl era and top 10 list because of how much the game evolves and changes over the years, but with Otto setting the standard for greatness, he definitely deserved the number 9 spot in our book. Now, moving on to number 8, we have Dan Marino. I know, don't kill me. While Dan Marino proved himself to be one of the best pure passers in NFL history, he couldn't win the big game once before retirement. While I measure the Super Bowl category as a team-achieved goal, I still believe any quarterback within the top 5 in NFL history should have brought the Lombardi home at least once. Anyway, Dan Marino makes a strong case for himself despite the lackluster postseason accomplishments. In his career, Dan put up incredible numbers, including 61,361 passing yards, way ahead of his time, a 59.4 completion percentage, 7.3 yards per attempt, 420 touchdowns, 252 interceptions, with a 3.0 interception percentage, an 86.4 passer rating. He was the 1984 NFL MVP, a 9-time Pro Bowler, in 1984 Offensive Player of the Year. The year prior, he was the 1983 NFL Rookie of the Year. An amazing stat sheet that would have elevated him to top 5 heights if Dan Marino just captured that big victory. Let's move on to number 7. Number 7, we have Brett Favre. Brett Favre is the definition of Green Bay Packer football, but the gunslinger wasn't quite known for his accuracy. His 3.3 interception percentage is one of the higher interception percentages on this list, but with Sammy making it, it's 1,000% okay. Brett ended his career with some amazing numbers, racking up 71,838 yards, a 62 completion percentage, 7.1 yards per attempt, 508 touchdowns, 336 interceptions, a 3.3 interception percentage, an 86 passer rating. He was the Super Bowl 31 champion, an 11-time Pro Bowler, 3-time NFL MVP, 1995 NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He has such an amazing resume that earned him a number 7 spot on this list. Brett Favre was the definition of heart and soul. If it wasn't just for his inaccuracy, he would be higher on this list. Number 6, Johnny Unitas. Johnny Unitas. Poised, deadly, potent. All words to describe the offenses he led for years. Johnny Unitas, like Drew Brees would do in the distant future, was looked down upon for his short stature. Regardless of that, him and his 6'1" frame dominated. In his legendary career, Johnny passed for 40,239 yards, a 54.6 completion percentage, 7.8 yards per attempt, 290 touchdowns to 253 interceptions, a 4.9 interception percentage, a 78.2 passer rating. He was a Super Bowl V champion, 2-time NFL champion, a 10-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time NFL MVP, and so much more. The leader, the pure leader that Johnny Unitas was, earned him a place on this list. His statistics come second. He could lead a team. He was clutch when he needed to be. He was always there to lead his offense no matter what cost. Now, let's move on to number 5. Number 5, John Elway. John Elway was a quarterback that was deeply ahead of his time. He used to run the ball a lot and effectively. This was before QBs were scrambling as often as what is the norm now, so Elway quickly earned a reputation for doing so. Regardless of that, he put together a fantastic career for his ability to throw the ball. He passed for 51,475 yards, a 56.9 completion percentage, 300 touchdowns, 226 interceptions, a 79.9 passer rating. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl 33 MVP, 1987 NFL MVP, a 9-time Pro Bowler, and a 2-time AFC Offensive Player of the Year. Quite the list of accomplishments, right? John Elway is only this far behind because of his record of getting blown out in the Super Bowl. The Giants, Redskins, and 49ers all handed his team extremely lopsided losses. He went out on top, though, securing back-to-back Super Bowl victories against the Packers and Falcons, respectively. He definitely deserved a place on this list. Number 5 is where we put him. Now, let's move on to number 4. Number 4, we have Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is one of the best regular season quarterbacks in NFL history, the second best for that matter. But this list is based off of all-around QB play. Peyton's postseason failure will always be something that comes back to bite him in lists like this one. Regardless, his resume earns him a spot anyway. Over his career, Peyton Manning threw for 71,940 yards with a 65.3 completion percentage, 539 touchdowns to 251 interceptions ratio, a 2.7 interception percentage, a 96.5 passer rating, 2-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl 41 MVP, 14-time Pro Bowler, a 5-time NFL MVP, 2-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and so much more. The sheer amount of MVP awards may be the most impressive thing about Peyton Manning's career, proving just how valuable he was to every team he's been a part of. The lackluster postseason success puts him at number 4 on this list. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3, Joe Montana. Joe Montana, the first GOAT. Joe Cool got his name for his fantastic ability to perform even under the most dramatic of situations. One of his most impressive moments came in Super Bowl 23, bringing the 49ers back from being down 13-16 with a 97-yard touchdown drive in the fourth quarter. His resume is absolutely insane, amassing 40,551 passing yards, a 63.2 completion percentage, 273 touchdowns with 139 interceptions, a 92.3 passer rating. He was a 4-time Super Bowl champion, a 3-time Super Bowl MVP, an 8-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time NFL MVP, and the 1989 NFL Offensive Player of the Year. His place on this list is worth much more than his Super Bowl championships. Whenever his team needed him most, he was there. Joe Cool will forever go down in history as one of the greatest to ever do it. Just the ability to be calm, poised, and potent in the most extreme of situations will always have Joe Cool up in the top 3. Now, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is a quarterback that could make a very strong case for taking over number 1, Drew Brees. The NFL's all-time leader in passing yards, passing touchdowns, completion percentage, and so much more. Drew Brees has done all of the things required to enter the GOAT conversation. Drew Brees is a Super Bowl champion as well, winning Super Bowl 44 and being given the Super Bowl 44 MVP. Drew's career stats read as follows: 77,416 yards, most in NFL history, 547 touchdowns, most in NFL history, 237 interceptions, and a fantastic 67.6 completion percentage, which is the highest of a career in NFL history. The reason he is at number 2 is pretty clear. It's almost impossible not to place him here. He leads the NFL historically in almost every single relevant quarterbacking stat. If Drew wins another Super Bowl, I feel like the number 1 spot will be contested, but until then, he and all of his greatness will be locked into the number 2 spot. There's a whole story that could be said here about the adversity that Drew Brees overcame, what was thought to be a career-ending injury he faced in San Diego. He was told he would never play again, and brought himself and the city of New Orleans to places that nobody thought they could get to, all because of that arm of his. So Drew Brees, stats, story, leadership, number 2. Now let's move on to number 1. Number 1, yeah, you've seen this coming, Tom Brady. Tom Brady may not have the mobility or arm strength of some of the players on this list, but other components he has like accuracy, decision-making, football IQ, and more exist in enormous magnitudes. Whether you love or hate Tommy Terrific, his work ethic is tireless and allowed him to overcome some of the aspects of his game that saw him fall to the 6th round of the NFL draft. He's also one of the most consistent passers in NFL history. He's never thrown more than 14 interceptions in a season, and his completion rate has never been below 60% since he became a starter. Taking success, statistics, leadership, and so many other defining quarterback skills into heavy consideration, it's hard to put another QB in this position. Based off of skill only, Drew has the GOAT vote in my opinion, but with everything included, success involved, it's hard not to give it to the man with 6 Super Bowl victories. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any suggestions, leave them down below. Your support is greatly appreciated. Make sure to stay tuned for the new next video coming soon here on NFL Hub. Thank you so much for watching, boys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.